Good evening. You're just seconds away from thinking Re-envisioned with the unrivaled Henry G. Noel. Now, you might be wondering, thinking Re-envisioned, what's that all about? Well, let's just say your mind deserves this. Here's Henry.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Transitional Radio, home of Brian Brody's All Natural Being, and Sundays on Sunday, sorry about that. On Sunday, we have sneak peeks from 7 to 7:30, and this is our 20th episode of Thinking Re-envisioned. My name is Henry Noel, and I'm your host this evening. And Thinking Re-envisioned, we're here to make you think. We're here to make you question. Question everything. So I want to thank you all for joining me this Sunday evening. And I really want to say thank you for joining me here on Thinking Re-envisioned. You know, we're going to be talking about whether or not humanity is actually ready to live together in peace and in harmony, questioning whether or not we even understand what that means. Now, we're broadcasting live this evening from our uplink studio in beautiful Cuenca, Ecuador, 2 degrees south of the equator. We are broadcasting live tonight on IPMNation.com. Thank you, Matt. And Thinking Re-envisioned's Facebook and YouTube pages. So I wish to thank our listeners from all over the globe for tuning in on live radio, for those listening to our rebroadcasts, and you, our fly-on-the-wall video listeners. It's great to have you dialed in, tuned in, and speaking in. I really appreciate it. I'd also like to thank our good friends at Wirecast for making it possible for us to be actually broadcasting both live and globally. And also, I got to put a thanks out there to my brother, because even with Wirecast, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be doing it. So thank you, bro. I appreciate it. So to all our listeners who wish to participate in this show, please email me at henry@henrygnoel.com. It is my wish to present a show where everyone can be as actively involved as you want. We trust you've had a great weekend through up to now, and hopefully it continues. So let's get into the thread. Let's say hi and see how everybody will address this evening's topic. Okay? So, everybody, it's great to have you on. I appreciate you jumping over to from Brian to us. It's really great. And so thank you very much. Thank you again for being here. John, thank you for showing up. I always count on you. Thank you so much. I really enjoy when you're there. Candace, always fabulous and always bring a life to all of this. I do appreciate that. Alice, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for all the comments that you make. I appreciate that too. My brother, always, thank you. Joseph, thank you again for jumping in and giving us your contributions. I really appreciate it. Jamie, thank you for joining us. And thank you for the contributions you do. Mary, as always, thank you again. Love to see that icon pop up and love the communications. Hello to everyone. Good evening and happy Sunday evening to you all. You know, I wanted to talk about something, and I'm going to start off with a quote from George Carlin. And one of the things that he said, stop to think who it is we kill. It's always people who've told us to live together in harmony and try to love one another. You know, unknown characters like Jesus, Gandhi, Lincoln, you know, John Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, you know, Malcolm X, John Lennon. You know, they all said, try to live together peacefully. And bam, right in the head. So apparently, we're not ready for that, according to George Carlin. And so tonight's topic is, are we really ready to live together peacefully? Do we really know what it takes to live peacefully? And can humanity live in a world where fear, hate, and discrimination doesn't exist? Your ball and see how things go with it. See what you think. I find it, hi, Sarah, how are you? Great. Thank you so much for joining in. It's great to see that today. I'm glad the Wi-Fi is working. Thank you so much. Brotherly love, Joseph says, absolutely right. You know, it is so difficult when you really realize the complexity of this world that we live in. You know, Einstein said, you know, you cannot fix the situations and the way things are with the same thinking that you created the problems with. You can't use the same thinking. It requires different thinking, which means we need to look at things differently, which means we need to look at ourselves differently, because we are the reflection of the world, and the world is the reflection of us. So we have to really take it serious that the mess that the world is in, odds are, is probably because of the mess we're in as people. And this is something I think that's gone on. You've had so many songs about, joining together, living life as one. And we've had so many unbelievably knowledgeable, intelligent, and really big-hearted, spirited people wishing and hoping that this world could become a place of peace, and just simply peace and love. And so far we have really failed miserably. I think we've all skipped the class. And so it's really hard to really understand it. Alice says, I don't know if we can live peacefully as long as there is so much greed in the world. Well, that's it exactly, Alice. If we could stop the greed, if we could stop being greedy, if we could stop all of this, that would be the first step in doing it. Recognizing we are greedy. There's the first step. And I think you're absolutely right. That is what's really required. We have to stop doing that. John says we really need to allocate major focus and recourses to working together, or like the UN, the New World Order. We have artificial intelligence overlords that will have you working together towards human destruction. And that's absolutely true. It's really very difficult to wrap your head around the odds of us successfully becoming united as a front, because there's so much out there being done to separate us and to keep us at odds and keep the racism going, keep the discrimination going, to keep the hatred and the fear going. And you're right, it is extremely difficult to do. And it's going to take us. It's going to take us to do this. It's not going to come from the government. It's not going to come from religion. It's not going to come from corporations. It's going to come from us. And the old adage, through network, the movie, back when in the 80s or so, 70s perhaps, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. That's what it's going to take us. It's that civil, the disobedience is really where we have to go with a lot of this. Janet, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's great to see your icon. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Thank you, thank you. Mary says, we live in a cursed, fallen world, so I don't expect everyone to tend towards brotherly love. The only thing I can do is start with me. Yay. Loving other people. Can't control them. I can only control me. I can't even do that on my own. I can only do that with the help of the love of Jesus Christ. Thank you very much, Mary. I love the honesty. I love it because that is what it's all about. We do it. If we can walk the talk, if we can be the example, then perhaps that becomes contagious. You know how a smile is so contagious. You walk down the street, and although in the States, not a lot of people walk down the street, but here we walk down the street quite a bit. And it is amazing to see. You smile, just smile at somebody. They got their heads down, and they're just like everybody else working, heading for their jobs. You smile, and they look up, and they just smile right back at you. Just like it changed their whole disposition. Their whole day just changed. Wow, that's just a smile. You can imagine if we actually walked the talk, if we actually lived and walked as brotherly love. Joseph Haggerty says, divide and conquer. That is the rule of existence for humanity. Joseph, divide, conquer. Only other word missing, control. Divide, conquer, and control. And they do it really well. Hi, Rita. I'm so glad that you're on. Thank you so much. It's great to see that surprise. I love it. So yeah, we're in a pickle. We have a choice to make in our lives. Either we're going to change, we're going to do what we can to change and create the world that we really want to change by creating it in us, or we're going to fail. Really that simple. If we don't do it, because the other guy's not going to wait for somebody else to do that. You may as well wait around to become 19 again, because it's simply just not going to happen. It's up to us to do it. We have to walk the talk. We have to be the example. We have to set the standard of what it is we as humanity, our part of humanity, our individual self in humanity will accept, and what we won't. And the messages have to get out there very clear, very loud. And it really does. It's simply a civil disobedience. It's simply letting the powers that be know we're not happy, we're mad as hell, and we are not going to take it anymore. Jamie says, so true, Henry. Thank you very much. A smile does make a difference, and it really does. And I do it here all the time, and I love it. I mean, to see somebody with their head down and they go, and again, remember, this is a Spanish-speaking country. Smiles have no language, no barriers, no nothing. A smile doesn't mean a frown. A smile simply means a smile. And every human being reacts the same way to it. It's really an absolute fun thing to do. And it's so great because it does. I mean, people will go out there, and we have that benefit because we are a walking city. It's very much a walking city. You know, you get out there and you start walking the street and you put that smile on your face, and people a half a block away will look up because they sense the smile. They sense it. And they look, and it's just amazing to see them look at you from that far away and just smile, wave at you, say hi. It's marvelous. It's simply marvelous. We don't do it enough. We don't do it to enough people. We don't do it to enough to ourselves. You know, we get, like Brian was talking about in the newspaper, you know, we are so bogged down with so much stuff that's going on. We don't take the time to love ourselves. We don't take the time to say hi to ourselves. Good morning to ourselves. You know, I really do respect what you have to say. We don't say that. We don't do enough self-talk, enough building ourselves up, because you sure as hell ain't going to get it out there. No one's going to bust you up, you know, help you blow up your balloon. They're standing there with the pin waiting to bust it. So we have to do this ourselves. And that's when we become controllers of our own life, our own destiny. So Mary says, I don't want, I do not want to be 19 again anyway. I don't want to have to learn all those lessons over again. Yeah, you gotcha, Mary. Thank you. John says, just because it's legal doesn't make it right. You know, and that is a big issue that we have. You know, you're right, John. There's so many things that we have that are legal, but it still makes people's lives miserable. It's simply not right just because it's legal. You know, I had a conversation today, and it was, well, let me get this, Mary and John. Says John, that's what my dad used to tell me when I went on a date. That's very good, Mary. Thank you. I love that. That's cute. No, we really do. We have the control. We have the ability to do what it is we need to do. We have the ability to live with brotherly love, to live in harmony with each other. Somebody has to break the door down, kick in the door, as Brian says. Somebody's got to kick in the door. So why isn't it us? Why can't we? We know better. We've been listening to Brian for over 2 years now. It's, you know, think about it. If we're don't have the chutzpah enough to get out there and kick the doors in, we don't have enough chutzpah to put on our own bold. We don't have enough chutzpah to bring on all natural being. Then what are we doing here? We're wasting our time taking up space. We need to be setting this as an example because it's not going to change. It simply wasn't. Jamie says, kindness is free. Sprinkle the shot everywhere. Absolutely right. Oh, Jamie, thank you so much for the contribution. I appreciate that. Joseph, especially with me. Yeah, you're right. Mary says, yeah, when I was 19. You two are just great. So yeah, we have got to do something. And it starts with us. It really does. I mean, we can pass the baton. We can pass it to anybody. We can point the fingers at everybody that we want to. The bottom line, if we don't do it, it's not going to get done. And we have the capability. We have the chutzpah. Otherwise, you guys wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be on the thread. You wouldn't care. You just wouldn't care. But you do. And because you do, you got to own up to it. You're the ones that have to put it out there. You know, I'm doing my part. Brian does his part. There's a lot of us out there doing our parts. But you guys got to do yours too. So it's all to taking it up. It's taking that baton and being willing to run with it. You know, establish the world that we want. Envision it. Put that imagination out there of how it is that we would really love to see it. You know, I'd like to see the world without discrimination. I would love to see a world without Nazis and KKK and all the excuses and the reasons in the world for us to be separated. I would love to see it all go away. Well, the only place it's going to go away for sure is in here. This is where it starts, right here, number one. And if I can't do it, I can't expect anybody else to even attempt it. So, and that's the same way we all should be looking at it. If I can honestly look in that mirror and say, this is really what I want to see the world do, then I'm going to establish it and create my life to be that way so that I represent what it is I believe is the right thing to be doing. So that's my 2 cents for it. But that's really where I want to go with this. That's the whole point of this. And it takes thinking re-envisioned. It takes us to change the thought patterns. Like I said, Einstein said you cannot fix the problem with the thinking that created it. It simply can't happen. So let's change the thinking. Completely change the thinking. Joseph says everyone has something to offer. Yes, they do. And and it just takes doing this, Joseph, it really does. Doing this, putting it out there, and being willing to say, you know what, this is how I see it. This is how I see me. I'm going to go ahead and walk the talk. And I think that's really, thank you, Alice. You just said it. As you say, walk it. Thank you very much. You just quoted me. I like that. Joseph says it's having patience. Absolutely. It didn't occur overnight. This whole process has been going on for many millennia. And it is not going to change overnight. It'll not happen in my lifetimes. It won't happen in 10 of my lifetimes. But if one person can take up the torch, one person could smile at that other person they don't know on the street, if just one other person can understand the importance of what it is to start to push humanity to unite rather than continue it to divide, then the job has been done and somebody's out there to carry that torch. So that's all we're trying to do here. Candace says, I don't think it could ever happen. And, and I'd hate to admit it, Candace, you very well could be right. But I'll tell you what, I'm not giving up. I'm simply not going to give up. I believe the world can unite. I believe the world doesn't need to be at war. I don't believe we need to be killing each other. And I don't think there's anything out there that ever can justify us killing each other as God's children. There's just no way this is at all the way it was intended to be. And I will do everything I can to keep the fight up because that's what it's all about. I just don't buy that we can't do this. We can. We simply have to want to. And right now, there's enough reasons to not want to. The greed, the fear, the lies, the racism, the discrimination. We have enough of that out there. We just need somebody to say, wow, hey, man, I love you. This is what it's all about. And I don't care what you say. This is where it's going to be. Mary says, I don't think it could happen either, Candace, but each one of us has a choice to be made. We are responsible for our actions. Mary, thank you. I couldn't have said that any better myself. In fact, well, I just repeated yours, so it sounded pretty good. Thank you. That is exactly what we have to do. Joseph says, sometimes you need to separate to survive. And sometimes you do. And sometimes being united, you survive even better because you have each other to fall back on and you've got people to protect you. And so that's really where we're going. It's so hard, and walking down the streets, walking around in the United States as we did when we were back there, back in July through September. It was really hard walking around, watching and looking at absolute misery on people's faces. I mean, it was like I stepped, like I wasn't in the U.S. I mean, the fun, the jovial, the happy, the joking around and the kidding around with everybody and just making light of the situations and realizing, yes, we all have problems and people are in different situations. But I remember the camaraderie it was to work together to try to solve the situations, issues. Man, don't even know your neighbors. It's unbelievable. And it's very, very difficult to realize that that's where the United States went, considering what it was years ago. I mean, it's to see it just fall apart like that is just sad. And to be a fingertip away, I mean, a push button on a remote control to listen to all the hatred that you could possibly find. I don't know. It's just sad that that's the direction we had to go. John says it is happening. Look around, not at the mainstream, the narratives. Go to your neighborhoods. Actually interact with the people around you. They are nowhere near as bad as you think they are. And that's true, John. It really is. Because we're all in that same boat. It's just that we have so much fear and we have so much hatred that we won't even look at somebody else out there. Simply won't do that. And we have so much more in common than we do. We don't. My brother says, you don't come to my house. Okay. No, I don't. It's a long walk, Wayne. It's a long walk. Joseph says, join the Nazi party. Got to separate. Yeah, there you go. Mary says, test everything and hold on to the good. Yes, we do. Humanity was never meant to be isolated from one another. In fact, in the near distant past, if you were not part of the tribe, if you were ousted from the tribe, you didn't come back. They let you out. You were on your own. And sure enough, you were going to be some other animal's food because of the protection of the tribe. That's what kept you safe and kept you protected. Now, the tribe is your enemy. You can't trust the people within your own tribe. And you can see that through the social categorization. It is so horrible that you don't even have a chance. I mean, one of the studies that they had said was that people will belong to several different tribes, which makes sense. I mean, you're a lawyer, so you're part of the lawyer tribe, and you may want to become a judge at some point, so you're part of the judge tribe. And you got to make sure that you have ins and outs for your clients that may or may not have committed crimes. So you're going to deal with the bail bondsmen. You're going to deal with the judicial system itself and the enforcers, the police departments. So that may be your tribes. But just because you're part of those tribes, don't make what's going on within those tribes all correct. But we will accept pretty much what the majority wants, just so we can be part of that tribe. And everybody outside of those tribes, your out group, become your enemy. Gangs operate in exactly the same situation. That's exactly how gangs operate. They have their beliefs. They are right that this is their territory, and they will defend it to the death. Something wrong with that picture, folks. It really is. Matt Connerton, thank you so much for joining in. Great talking to you earlier this evening. Thank you so much. And God, congratulations. I love what you're doing with IPM Nation. Thank you. Fabulous, fabulous operation. And man, I just love it. And I can't believe you've been doing it for that long. That is really fabulous. Sarah says, sending love from your heart chakra to people. There you go. Now, there you go. That's exactly what it is. And if you love yourself, that's a great place to start from. You don't show that. You don't show the hatred. You don't have that discriminatory type of thing. You don't have the whatever that is, the going against what other people think. It's understanding and being there, being the teacher to show why it's important. Setting ego aside so that you actually can listen rather than have to do your viewpoint. So it is really, really critical that we understand who we are and what our driving force is behind us is, why we're in this consternation that we're in with everybody. And it's important to understand that. Candace says, a Native American told me the world is supposed to be this way. It's the afterlife. And I agree. And I don't know. I don't see why we can't have what we have in the afterlife here. There's not a reason in the world except we choose not to do it. There's no reason it can't be a heaven on earth because we walk the talk. If that's what we want, we can have that. I don't think we were sent here to be 70, 80, 90, 100 years living in misery just to wait to die. And I'm sorry, I just don't think that that's the way we have to go. I believe that we are supposed to understand what this was all about, and it wasn't about what we have. And we have to figure out another way of doing it so that we can actually have what we have in the afterlife here. There's no reason we can't do that. We just have to want to do it. That's all. We simply have to want to do it. So, and the others, it's remarkable when you really take a look and see, and the decades of having been here few months shy of 70, 7 decades. And don't you say a thing, brother. It's been, I've watched this world change drastically. I mean, even after World War II, I've watched this world separate and separate and separate further and further. I've watched it degrade to where we almost are dividing ourselves into two separate people, that we can't even get along with ourselves, much less anybody else. And it is absolutely sad. It's the worst thing in the world that I could see that humanity can do to itself. We are social creatures. We were never, ever, ever designed to live this way. The stresses, the health, the medical conditions that we have because of stress will tell you right there, this is wrong. I mean, if everything we took into our bodies was healthy, that means the food that we eat, everything we see, everything we smell, everything we hear, and everything we think, if all of that was pure and clean and positive, we would not be in the situation we are now. But it's not. We have polluted ourselves with all of the stuff that's going on out in this world. And that's why we're in the shape that we're in. Let's see. I missed a couple of them here. John said, life is counterintuitive. Oh, 3 more minutes. Thank you, sir. Yes, it is. Sin and evil are real threats. And they are, Joseph, if we want to perceive it as that. To me, we didn't do anything to sin, and evil is a conjugation. We conjure up evil. And it's, to me, the way we see things. And I think that that's really the way I look. I really look at it. I don't think anybody, we have not sinned, but because we have sinned, sometimes we just think we don't have an option. So I've already sinned. I'm going to hell. So I'm just going to go ahead and kill somebody. I don't have a reason not to. Well, and that's why I think we've been taught wrong. Everything we've been taught in that realm is wrong. And we need to change that. Candace says, back to choices, good versus evil, Henry. People are doing it to themselves. Earth awful. Absolutely, I agree with you, Candace. Gotcha. Right on the money. Joseph says it's never-ending battle of good and evil. And the problem, Joseph, it's all within us. It's each of us that's doing this. The battle is not out there. The battle is in here. Just like the answers are not out there, the answers are in here. And that's what we have to focus on. Mary says, I don't think it's any worse now after World War II. I think it runs in cycles. How about when they were burning people at the stake during the Roman Empire? Oh, no, absolutely. And how about when they were killing witches during the Salem witch trials? Absolutely true. And I think that it repeats itself over and over. And I think you're right, it does. And it does go in cycles, for one. But humanity's degradation and hatred for itself and each other is getting worse and worse and worse. And I think that that's really where it goes. Joseph says, always forgiveness. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. And forgive you first. You're the first one. We're okay. We can make this. I got about a minute to go, or about 30 seconds to go. So I'll sit down and start saying my goodbye so my brother can have his finger on the button instead of pointing it at me. So we'll see how it goes. Candace says history does repeat itself. Yes, it does, because we don't learn from it. So I appreciate it. Folks, thank you so much. I love that you guys are on. Thank you so much. You make this fun. You really do make this enjoyable. And I hope you feel the same way. Thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow evening, same time and same place, I assume. And unless my brother has something to say about it. But anyway, good night, everybody. Hasta luego. Hasta mañana.